25 minutes. We gotta go. Hey.
Happy
Happy
Wednesday.
Wednesday. We can't get more in sync, can we? Happy Wednesday, everybody.
There's the camel going across the screen. You know what I'll get? I think I'm going to get like a camel on a stick. And then like
make it do the
yes.
thing. Yeah. Guys, if that is not a cry for you guys to donate more money to this show, I don't know what is. Janelle with a drawn camel on a little pencil going across her microphone as she bounces on her ball.
Oh, my bouncy ball. Yeah.
Sign up for Patreon immediately. The link is in the description. No, but guys, happy Wednesday. Welcome back in for another amazing episode. Guys, you guys are going to be in for such a treat today. I'm actually like chomping at the bits to get into this one. Today is going to be really, really good. I'm telling you, today is going to be really good.
For those of you that are new, welcome to Say That channel. And so just a little bit about us. My name is Janelle. This over here is Winston. And we really are unapologetic about talking about the ugly come up of the business world. We all know how people can start from nothing and then have massive, amazing success. But the question is, what happens in the middle? Like what happens during that ugly come up? Well, that's what we're here to talk about. We are unapologetic and in questioning what's the mindset you need to have as you build your business. What kind of pitfalls do you need to circumvent, or what kind of challenges are you going to have to overcome as you are on your way towards building your business? And so we're really excited because, as Winston said, today's going to be a great show. And so now's a good time to talk about the topic. We typically have a topic and we have 25 minutes on the clock to answer the topic of the day. And then once the timer is done, it is done. And anything else that we talk about is going to be on overtime. And to catch us on overtime, all you have to do is become one of our Patreon community members. Again, the link is down in the description below. Once you're there, immediately our Patreon members have access to our overtime segments where we get even deeper into the topic, and just it's a community of other entrepreneurs who are out there continuing the conversation. And so I'm really excited to be with you guys today with Winston, and I'm just excited. Today's going
to be a really good one. And guys, if this is also your first time and you have not already done it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You want to make sure that you're notified every single time that we have an episode. It'll actually remind you about upcoming episodes. We try and have those things at least slated a week out. In some instances, I've even seen that Janelle has next season guests already lined up. So you want to make sure you hit that notification button, guys, so you do not miss a minute. Now, with all that out of the way, let us get to today's question and our guests, guys.
All right, here we go. Could your inner self-talk be ruining your business?
Oh,
could it? Goodness. Could it be?
I some of y'all are like, I already know the answer. Like, I'm listening to my inner talk right now, and yes, I already know the answer. But don't just get ahead of yourself, guys, because we have an amazing young lady who is going to, I'm telling you, her energy, she's going to pour into us. Janelle?
So I'm really excited. I met this young woman, only a month ago. It seems kind of crazy. It's been such a short time, but immediately just like had this connection of like similar experiences, this journey of self-learning, of learning about yourself and how we think and why do we hold ourselves back. And if there was a way that you could learn or have a different way of thinking that could just like open you up to other ways of being in your life, right? So not just in your business, but just like life itself. And I was just like, man, for someone who I just met, there's no way I can keep this conversation to myself in this like one little group that we have. Like we have to have more people hear her story, hear what thinking about what you think about actually why it matters and how it's actually impacted her life. So I am super excited to bring to the proverbial stage a young woman who is honestly like a ball of energy and joy when you like enter her presence. She is out there doing the damn thing, working as hard as she can towards her goals. And I'm so excited to bring to you Cyanne Villejo.
Our next guest. Let's go.
Here she is.
Oh, you're
Bright ball
busy.
of energy. I predicted it on spot. There she is.
There it
That
is.
was so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Well, I have to apologize for it first off because I actually said your name in Spanish. So it's cyan, like the color, but I said like Cyanne because that's how in my mind you would pronounce it in Spanish.
Okay.
Because the last name is pronounced in Spanish, Villejo. So I just wanted to like make sure that everybody knew I'm putting respect on it. I do know how to pronounce her name appropriately.
Thank you. Yeah, no biggie for me, but I really appreciate that. That was so wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm still surprised you asked me to join you, but I'm so grateful to hear what you guys have to say and get this conversation going. I think it's going to be great.
I completely agree.
Awesome. Yes. Tell us a little bit. Let's start off with like, if you could just tell the audience, just tell us a little bit about kind of like your journey, where the moment where you recognize like, man, I've been going through a lot and like, I need a little bit more, you know, like I need to like access sources in order to kind of like shift what's going on in my mind. So tell us a little bit about that journey for you.
Wow. Starting off strong. Honestly, I think my first big defining moment where I really realized I needed to shift in my life was, so when I was in my senior year in high school, I started working in real estate and I was with Keller Williams. Love Keller Williams. They have a lot of training. And one of the pieces of training they have is a course called Bold. It's a 7-week course. You take a class. It's a full day once a week for 7 weeks. And you just go through this transformation really where you break down and build up. And that was probably my first big moment was when we were doing an exercise. It's called the financial thermostat exercise. And basically the whole point of the exercise is they're like, okay, we're going to give you $1,000 day one, but you have to spend it all in 24 hours. You can't have any left over. You can't use it on your bills, can't use it on your car, can't use it on any necessities, spend it on yourself. And then the next day you get twice as much. So you double it every day and you have to spend it all that day. And the whole point is to figure out how much you really believe in your financial goals. So for me, the first time I took that class 5 times.
Wow.
The first time I took that class and we did that exercise, I literally was like, what the fuck am I going to do with $1,000? Like, I can't pay my bills. What else am I going to do with it? Like, I just didn't understand. And then I went to one of my mentors at the time, the person whose team I was working with, and he pulled out a wad of cash from his pocket. He was just like, hold on to that and then tell me you don't know what to do with it. And I was like, don't give that to me. I'm not touching it. I wouldn't take it from him. And then I went and sat down in front of my paper and I just like started crying because I was like, wow, I really
don't know.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want anything but my bills paid. Like, I really just didn't see myself spending money like that. So I think that was the first real moment where I realized like my whole perspective on what's possible needs to change, because that was like a really big moment for me.
Wow. You know what's so crazy? I know that exercise, not from them. I know that exercise with $100, and it was go around and again, we were talking backstage before about Jim Rohn, some of these greats, and they talk about this from $100 perspective and walk around just saying and pointing at, not spending it, but going, I want to buy that, I want to buy that, I want to buy that. I've recently heard it with the $1,000 and similar mindset. I'm always asking for abundance. I want this, I want this. Except when it came down to actually buying things outside of your bills, you realize that you don't, depending on who you are, I should say, you really don't know what you would do with money. Like you don't have an idea of what you would spend it on. And some of that affects, I mean, I know we're going to get deeper into this mindset stuff, but some of that really affects how you're living life. So many of us feel like we need more, but what would you even do with the extra $1,000?
Exactly. And unfortunately, we don't really have that conversation unless you put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
For me, it was the class. For you, it was your $100 experience. Yeah. And not everybody is put in those situations or surrounded by those people to where they challenge that thinking, to where they realize that they don't even like, I think it's unaware of the fact that they haven't thought about that before. Yeah. They don't know what they don't know. So
absolutely. What's up, Honor Your Essence? We love seeing you. It is essential to have the right mindset around money and our finances. How true is that?
Shout out to Margie, who was our guest last week. So
I know,
excited to
right?
have
That was a
you.
great episode. I totally
Oh,
loved it.
awesome. Very
That was
cool.
awesome.
Very cool. All right, so let's talk about that. You were in, I share a similar background in real estate, came out of college. I had a job for a couple months and then ended up in real estate for a few years. What was that experience like, and how did that lead you into what you do now? And how, if we dived into the question, you recognize your inner self-talk was ruining your business or maybe your life, actually?
Yeah. Honestly, I think my experience in real estate is what changed my life the most. Not because we were selling the most houses or the number one team. No way. It had nothing to do with that. And honestly, my paychecks, I wasn't a licensed realtor. I was working on a team. So it's not like I was making that much money. So
Okay, cool.
for me, all of it was coaching. I think that's where I really found my passion for challenging myself and challenging perspective. Um, and I think a lot of it had to do with going through Bold 5 times. And we went to Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within, the
Yeah,
conference in Chicago where you walk on fire.
yeah. Wow.
Did that. That completely changed my life in so many ways. So I just think a lot of it was proximity to just some really amazing people and really encourage, like everybody in that office was so encouraging and all of the training. And it was just, there's another conference called Family Reunion where it is a real estate conference, but it's not all about real estate. It's about how to grow your business. And as you know, if you want to grow your business, I mean, your business will only grow to the extent that you do.
Yeah.
So if you don't elevate yourself, how are you going to elevate anything around you? So I really learned a lot about perspective and how to learn. Like, what do I research? When I go to YouTube, what do I type in? Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, Zig Ziglar. Like, what do I look for when I'm reading books? And I'm a big note taker. So one thing about me, like, I'm gonna write down everything you say, and then I'm gonna rewrite it again and again, like reread it. And so I just think a lot of that came from being in real estate, from growing myself, and then growing our team to have more agents and just helping them grow. I think helped me grow, because one of the things I did once we had more agents on our team was just coaching them every week. We did a weekly team coaching where we all sat down together in the conference room, and they got weekly one-on-one coaching, and we did weekly training as a group. So every morning, they'd get a phone call. What are your goals for the day? What are you going to do different today to make sure you hit them that you didn't do yesterday? How are you feeling about those things? And just really teaching myself how to pour into them helped me learn how to pour into myself. So I think that just the entire experience all together just shaped everything.
Wow.
That's
Man,
amazing.
I love that. The thing is so interesting is and for anyone, obviously, as we're on here, we're trying to educate you guys on what it means to be business owners and all. Some of the things that I know people shy away from, and you're talking about it, is this idea of being trained, being coached, how that really affects your business, or actually, I would say more your mindset. I also attribute a lot of the success I've had in life to my experience as a real estate agent. I then became a broker. So I remember my first mentor, and I didn't know about mentors, was my boss. And, essentially he knew that, and I'm sure it's similar for you, it's like the success of the office affect how his paycheck ultimately worked out. So he wanted sharp people around. He's one of the first people that gave me books to read that, again, weren't academic books. It was all about mindset, mostly sales books, but a lot of those books taught you how to look at life from a different perspective. No's aren't really no's. It's just like a not right now, like things like that, where I think, and we talked about this again backstage a little bit about education and how that played a role. You shared with us that you didn't go on to college.
Correct.
Because of some of the education you've gotten. Can you talk to us a little bit about being self-taught and how that's shaping, I can't say shaping your life?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer in resources. Today we have the world at our fingertips. We have so many resources available to us, but unfortunately we also, it doesn't matter how many books are in the library if you never read them. So you have to take the time to be resourceful and take initiative. And I think that it can be overwhelming with so much in the world that you can learn about. So I think just really finding what's in alignment with yourself, your beliefs, your values, and your goals, like where you want to go, what's important to you, and how do you feel about those things that are important to you, because you have to be able to take that and go find the answer. Because like the answers don't always, like sometimes they show up, right? If you're in alignment, sometimes things just show up and you're like, oh, there it is, right? But most of the time you have to be like, okay, so for me, I had a lot of limiting beliefs, right, from my past. So like I didn't believe I was worthy of success or love or, care. And so those beliefs were causing me to respond differently to people around me and situations around me. So what I had to do was take a step back and say, okay, well, why do I feel like that? And what happened in my life that makes me believe that way? And how can I change it? And then I didn't know how to change it. I was like, I don't know. This is just what it is. Yeah. But then I started like researching it, and I literally just like YouTube, Google, articles, books. How do I change my beliefs? Like, how do I readjust my beliefs? Like, I don't know, but you have to dig deep and realize that you have to go get the information. Yeah. So being self-taught is one of those things. Like, yes, my mentor was like, you should read this book, The 12 Pillars. My mentor gave me that book. That was one of the first books he ever gave me, right? Because it's a foundational book. But it's just one of those.
Back up. I have to share. Yeah. First off, can you tell us who the author of The 12 Pillars is, please?
Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn. Okay, so for all of the business people out there right now, they're like, oh, maybe I should go get this book.
It's very foundational. I mean, it's such an easy read, but it's so touching. It's literally 13 chapters because there's 12 pillars. Mm-hmm. And it's just this conversation where this young man is learning how to change his life because he's not where he wants to be and he's unhappy. And he learns these 12 foundational things, just the basics that really help you think about life different. Maybe I should do this, maybe I can implement that. And I think it's just those things that we don't really know we don't know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a really great foundational book. Recently I was kind of going downhill and I realized I needed to get back to the basics because life gets hard and messy, and sometimes you're like, I don't know what to do. So sometimes everything you learned is great, but sometimes it overwhelms you. So you have to take a step back and say, all that's great, but that's all extra. Let me get back to the foundation so I could build a better house. If you have a good foundation, you have a strong house. So I think that book is just one of my favorite, personally, foundational books. Whenever I'm overwhelmed, I just go back to it. Can't go wrong. Yes. Jim Rohn.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. Everybody knows Tony Robbins, but Jim Rohn taught Tony Robbins.
That man. Yeah.
Boom.
That's so funny. I recently talked to some people and they like don't know who Tony Robbins is. And I'm like, I don't know. How do I explain who Tony Robbins is? It's a really interesting, I don't know. If someone has a hint on like how to describe, because right, like
you show them. Tell them to go to Netflix and watch I'm Not Your Guru.
I'm Not Your Guru. Yeah.
That will show you who Tony Robbins is in an hour and a half.
in 10 seconds. No, just kidding. But
all you need is a preview.
That's true too. Yeah. But I'm sorry, and we're gonna go back and forth about different ideas. But for me, one of the things that came up is the coaching aspect. So coaching, attending seminars, things like that. Like I think about. It's funny. The minute I've never heard of this exercise. Apparently, you and Winston both have. I've never. But immediately when I was thinking, man, if I can't pay bills with the mindset of thinking, don't worry, your bills are already paid. Like if it's only for me, my immediate thought was like, oh my God, I would invest in like some seminar. And I was like, does Tony Robbins even do like $1,000? I was like, no, it's probably like $5,000. I literally was having these thoughts and I was like, okay, so like, I'm sure there's like another seminar that I would invest in myself. Like that's immediately what I was thinking, what I would do with $1,000. And
good.
I recognize that is not necessarily a mindset that everybody has. So like, what was it about? Like, was there someone who said to you, like, you need to go to this seminar? And like, how did, like, as someone who didn't attend college, right? And I totally understand why you wouldn't have to, especially in this day and age. Was there, okay, because when I think seminar, and I think a lot of people are similar to me, I think boring, you're sitting in a sterile like place with like, you know, fluorescent lights, someone's gonna wah, 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 drone on, you know, in the front, like, and I understand that, like, we understand because we know who Tony Robbins is, that's not the experience that you have. And how, like, what was that conversation like to get you to even go to something like that? Because you had never experienced that. So like, what was your mindset around that? Maybe you were just open. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. When I first got into real estate, I wasn't quite as open-minded as I am now. I think when I first started, I was like, whoa, what are you guys doing? What's going on around here? This is crazy. And I was just really kind of taken by storm in this experience. And honestly, I didn't know who Tony Robbins was until I was in real estate either. Like, of course I was in high school. Nobody had ever talked like that around me. So when I first started and I got this book, I was just like, it's like I knew what was missing and I just kind of became addicted to it. Like, I just craved better for myself because I was so tired and like so worn out with everything that was surrounding me. I never really felt like this is where I belong until I was at a Tony Robbins conference, right? Like the way I felt when because when I went to the Unleash the Power Within conference, there was like 10,000 people, like 60 different countries. They were translating it to 12 different languages with headsets. There were so many different people and we were all on the same page. And the energy was just so remarkable. I just felt like, wow, like if there's such thing like as where I belong, like this is it. This is where I belong, because it fed my soul. Like it fueled my soul to the point where I just craved it. And even before Tony Robbins, when I joined Bold, that was the first real seminar I ever took. I went into real estate. A month later, I took this Bold course, and the first one, it completely changed my life because like, and my family, of course, was like, what are you doing? Why are you there? What are you talking about? And like, I would want to go home. And at the time I was living with my aunt, and I would want to go home and like share my, I would think about these things, but like, it was just that kind of conversation that they weren't used to having. Right. So I kind of had it with myself. And like, it's not just the financial thermostat. It's the teamwork. It's the camaraderie. It's the pouring and believing into yourself, because they really do. Like, one other thing that I learned from Bold was you get what you deserve in your imagination. That's another thing I learned from Bold. And that will and always will be my absolute favorite thing I've ever learned in Bold. That simple, because I didn't believe I deserved anything in my imagination. I had never imagined what I deserved. So as soon as I started thinking about, well, what can I imagine? Like, what is it? What do I have the ability to imagine and comprehend? And how can I go get it? And I think that is the one thing that I'll always take away. And I think those moments that I had in that experience in Bold is what kind of got me like addicted. Like, I'd wake up and listen to some Les Brown, right? Because you have to control the thought of your day. And I'd like watch these videos, like in the car. I wasn't listening to music. I was like playing these motivational videos that always gave me goosebumps, because I just wanted to remember. I wanted to remember that it could be like that. And so I just got like addicted to it, like so quickly, in the best of ways, because I know addiction's like a touchy subject, but no, like I wouldn't use a different word. Like, I am consumed by it because it feeds my soul, and I think that it's just, I don't know. Anyway.
Man, oh God, this is so good. I'm literally, as I'm sitting here, and guys in the chat, if you guys are getting value, please, because I certainly am right now.
In the comments, and
what it really is a part of me is sad. And that's the part of me that still relates to victimhood and things like, oh, I should have gotten this earlier in life, blah, 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 right? That guy's still there. But then there's another part of me that's so encouraged right now, because I had, obviously, and many of us probably do, so many of the same experiences. I remember what it was like to go to, even for training in real estate, which is, again, to me is I didn't have bold, so they didn't go as, I think, introspective as what that sounds like. It was very sales, and sales, nothing wrong there, but they may just scratch the surface on things because they're very transactional, right? It's just very, how do you get money from this person? You're not going into who the person is, why you should value the person, any of these things, or how you should value yourself, and so on and so on. But when I transitioned into relationship marketing and started going to the training, and Janelle came a few months after. Actually, she may have even gone to a training before I did.
No.
Oh, no, you didn't? Okay, cool. So I missed the first training.
I have my own limiting belief about this.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah. I ain't paying for this. I'm a college educated. Yeah. Okay, cool. So it's the fact that I have had to recognize that I have been conditioned to think a certain way.
Yeah.
The first powerful thing I think for anyone on here and anyone watching the replay is awareness. Don't feel upset. Be happy that you're aware that something is not right. Right.
Yes.
So I remember initially, and Janelle asked me when I tell you this, I thought people at our seminars were paid to essentially hype you up. Like the guy on stage, that's the Tony Robbins guys. They're the ones getting the money. They're there just to hype you up, to go sell the products, to then come back so that they can make more money. And then honestly, after having to keep going, and keep in mind, my motivation was to make money. So I kept going back, realizing from school, you learn enough, you'll eventually figure this thing out. I'm smart enough to know that. Like everyone can learn something, right?
Yeah.
But then eventually the stuff starts to actually seep in. And then just like you start listening to the stuff when nobody's telling you to. You start realizing that, oh man, I wake up somewhat not feeling the best today. I should probably listen to this thing because it usually makes me feel better, right? Mm-hmm. I'm now in a space of, and Janelle's probably been telling me about this for, how long have you been meditating? Or how long were you, years of that? You may have fallen off the wagon, but.
Yes, but during COVID. So like 2020, I think, like, because that's when I started reading, and I'm sure, Cyanne, you've heard about him too, but Dr. Oh my gosh, and I'm blanking on his name. Yes, Dr. Joe Dispenza and meditation and how healing it is. So I started to get into that during COVID, essentially. So 2020.
Okay, cool. So it's this willingness for me now. It's to recognize I'm having to, and I don't want to say unlearn, but adapt. Oh, come on, time. Come on.
Are you serious? Oh my God, I feel like we
a little bit longer.
We're gonna go.
Listen to what Winston was saying?
Yeah, we're gonna go into this because I have so much to ask you. And then, guys, we're definitely going into overtime. So click that link now. Make sure you subscribe to Patreon. But here's this. It's this idea now of realizing I'm relearning and unlearning certain things, and just this willingness to keep learning. Because I was the guy that kept saying I don't like to learn. But school, or my experience in school, bullying, all these other things, being told I wasn't smart, allowed me to believe something that's not true. And many of you as business owners, people stepping into this space of entrepreneurship, I personally think, to the question of today, that is one of the biggest challenges you will have to overcome. Is the idea that you probably love to learn. It's just the way you were conditioned to look at learning is probably not the best way, or it just wasn't the way for you. And I don't mean grades, because grades don't necessarily motivate people to do more or want to learn more. And what you just touched on, Cyanne, I think it's really what it comes down to. It's the feeling I get from things now. You know what I mean? Like, it's that energy. I remember months of Les Brown, months.
Yes.
Like I remember, and then I remember the trail of Les to Eric Thomas.
Yes.
Eric led me to Tony. Like, I'm talking about, like, I could see the breadcrumbs of people where I'm being led. And now I'm in that meditation state of my journey of, oh, you need to get really inside, because I still struggle with that $1,000 question. Yeah. And I want to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
But so you can't spend 1,000. Trust me, they're out there spending 1,000, and it's not all on jets and all this other stuff. They're out there doing, they're enjoying life. It's an amazing, amazing thing. God, this was so good. Oh, so the second time.
This is how you know. So the thing that I want us to go over into overtime is, and it's so interesting that Winston brought up the awareness bit, because for those that are entrepreneurs, I mean, we're all in it, right? Like, we're all working on our businesses, and I think the awareness is key. So when you're feeling, Cyanne, this is specifically for you, in your life, as you are going about your way, when you're feeling like, ooh, I think like I'm like having a limiting belief right now. Like there's something that like, right? Can you describe what that feeling is? Or is there a result, like something that's not happening in your life or in your business that makes you think, oh, okay, I need to take a step back. So I want to say really like dive deeper into like what that looks like for you. I know you have some books that you want us to share that you read that are for that. So
I just feel like there's so many books available, and like there's a lot of really good ones to start with, because like we were talking about at the very beginning, you said backstage. Yeah, I did not come up with any of this. I am not the author of any of these things. I just learned them, consumed them, and implemented them. And it's all about like books and reading and just really understanding yourself. So yeah, I mean, did you want me to show you some books?
No. We'll save them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
No, we're gonna get into it. But guys,
there was one more thing I want to say. Can I say one more thing?
Okay.
Before we go. Okay. Earlier, Winston, you were talking about your programming and how you're like unlearning things. And I think that's really, really important, because another thing that I had learned about was our programming and our subconscious mind. We naturally just evolve from that. And your programming will always lead to the way you think about things. And then the way you think about things will affect how you feel about things. How you feel about things affects your actions, and your actions affect your results. So your programming goes to your thoughts, to your actions. I mean, your thoughts to your feelings, to your actions, to your results. And it all starts with your programming. So that's exactly what you need to do, is like, you could say, man, I feel bad about this. But that's not really good enough. You have to say, man, I feel bad about this because this happened in my past that makes me believe this way about the situation. And I think that's the second level that not a lot of people go through, is they're like, man, I feel bad. That sucks. I'm going to change it. Right. You can change that current situation. But if you feel bad in that situation and then something else like that happens in the future, you're a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
So you have to dig deep with yourself and ask yourself those questions like, why am I really feeling this way? Right? Like, I was insecure in my last relationship because I had these beliefs that stemmed from my childhood, just like everybody else, from my mom. And I had these limiting beliefs about love and worthiness and myself. So it doesn't matter if it's him or the next guy or whatever, because if I never fix that programming in me, I'm always going to feel that way when that situation comes. So don't forget to dig deep. You got to like go levels and ask yourself, like, why is this really like, why do I really feel this way? It's not what's happening right now. It's what I'm thinking about what's happening right now. I just wanted to say that because you said
no. Bonus.
Really before we went into
No. Even more motivation for you guys to get over there. So here is her Instagram, guys. Go and follow. Janelle says is that she is a real person. This is her page. There's the energy right there. I don't know where she is dancing it up, but she's out here living life.
Chicago.
Definitely go follow her, hit her up. This has been so. Let's please get to overtime. Let's go. No, like right. I mean, you can tell when I'm hyped. Like, I love this. I love the way that. Yeah, thank you. This has been such a amazing. Guys, if you've had value, again, please drop it in the chat. Let her see it. And please get on to Patreon now. Let's get out of here so we can get to the rest of this conversation.
I know, I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
This is good. All right.
As always,
remember
you deserve
the good life.
All right,
I didn't know what was happening, but I joined in.
Wednesday. No, this has been